With The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6, Chapter 14 releasing on Disney Plus this Friday, we're once again going to break down everything we learned during the week about the potential plot of the episode and make some massive predictions about what may happen. It's really looking like we're headed for a rollercoaster last 3 episodes. So before we get into it, make sure to smash the subscribe button to be notified as soon as I release my Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 6 full breakdown video very soon after it releases. To begin, we once again got the length of the episode leaked to us early by the German FSK, which is basically the television ratings agency in Germany. Unfortunately, the episode will only be 33 minutes long, including credits, the intro and the recap, making it one of the shortest episodes of The Mandalorian ever. I would definitely love for it to be longer than this, but we know Dave Filloni and Jon Favreau can fit great stories into small time slots. So moving straight into the predictions, I don't think we'll be reaching Tython just yet. The structure of The Mandalorian Season 2 so far has pretty much remained the same. One episode of a person sending Mando somewhere, and then the payoff to that 2 episodes later. For this reason, Tython will probably appear in episode 7 rather than the next. And because of this exact same reason, I think the plot point about the tracker that Moff Gideon placed on the ship of Din Djarin will finally be paid off, and there will be a confrontation with the Mando and Moff Gideon going head to head. He does now have the awesome Beskar spear, which is definitely the perfect weapon to go up against the Darksaber. We saw just how effective Beskar is against lightsabers in the small stoush with Ahsoka Tano in the last episode. To back this up, Giancarlo Esposito, the man who plays Moff Gideon, has said in multiple interviews that he has broken upwards of 5 Darksabers while shooting his scenes. This is just an awesome statement by itself, but it also tells us a lot about the story. If he has broken that many Darksabers and we still haven't seen the blade in action at all this season, it pretty much has to appear in Chapter 14. Either that or the whole Chapter 15 is just one massive Darksaber fight, but that's not too likely. I'm also predicting that we're going to get a larger backstory for both Tar Vizsla and the Darksaber itself. At a minimum, I think Dave Filloni and Jon Favreau will tell the basic story of the Darksaber within the Mandalorian show, just for those fans who haven't seen the Clone Wars or Rebels, but I think they'll take it a step further and tell more of the story, especially regarding Tar Vizsla himself, the first Mandalorian Jedi and the man who created the Darksaber. As of right now, Tar Vizsla and the Darksaber is one of the very few pieces of canon that connects all the way back to the Old Republic era, and with The Mandalorian being as popular as it is, this series could easily set the stage for a future Old Republic TV series, movie, or even more games, which many people miss about the current canon. Right now, all we know is that Tar Vizsla was the first Mandalorian to become a Jedi, and that he created the unique Black Darksaber to honor both of his cultures, the Jedi and the Mandalorians. After the fall of the Old Republic and the sacking of the Jedi Temple, the Darksaber was stolen back by the members of House Vizsla, eventually going all the way down the line through Pre Vizsla, Maul, Sabine, Bo-Katan, and now Moff Gideon. Because there is so little backstory surrounding this absolutely crucial piece of Mandalorian culture, you can almost guarantee we're going to hear more about it very soon. We've also had heavy hints from Katie Sackhoff herself that Bo-Katan will be returning for future episodes of the show, and that makes a lot of sense as she was the previous holder of the Darksaber and is actively hunting it once more. She'll probably end up fighting Moff Gideon one-on-one in a traditional Mandalorian battle at some point, but I don't think that it will take place just yet, and we might even see it in the season finale. But I do want to know right now, who do you guys think will come out as the ruler of Mandalore by the end of this season? Do you think that Moff Gideon will hold the Darksaber and his rulership? Or do you think Bo-Katan will reclaim it? Or even a wildcard, Din Djarin? We also still haven't been filled in about the Night of 1,000 Tears, many details of the Great Purge, and how exactly Bo-Katan lost the Darksaber. Because of that, I think these final 3 episodes will form a mini story arc explaining the history of Mandalore and how the Purge happened, including Bo-Katan's loss of the Darksaber. Following that, we also had a tweet from one of the people who works on the animation at ILM, the same company that of course runs the Volume technology and handles most of the graphical work on The Mandalorian. In the tweet he says, "You're in for a rollercoaster these last 3 episodes. I don't know about you guys, but this is pretty exciting stuff and is almost in a way telling us that they are done with the filler episodes for this season and will soon move right into the action. I think that all of the stuff that has been built up, like Boba Fett, Dark Troopers, and the Tracker will be tied into these last 3 episodes and really push into a cohesive story. I do think this means that we will also be getting more live action mentions of Grand Admiral Thrawn himself. based on some Dave Filoni comments earlier this week, where he basically said that the Rebels epilogue is potentially after the Ahsoka episode of The Mandalorian. That would mean that Ezra and Thrawn are both still stuck in the unknown regions. For this reason, I don't think we'll be seeing Thrawn in live action in this next episode, but we may get more and more teasers to his current role in the Imperial Remnant and his connection to Moff Gideon and Morgan Elspeth. Grand Admiral Thrawn clearly has a much bigger role than any of us thought before this, so his story is definitely going to be expanded on in the Rebels sequel, along with The Mandalorian Season 2. Personally, I think Moff Gideon and Thrawn are on separate sides of the Imperial Remnant, with Gideon being connected to the more extreme and fanatical side who worship Palpatine and are trying to resurrect him. This faction of the Imperial Remnant is probably what turns into the Final Order, and would also have Enric Pride as one of its members. Thrawn, on the other hand, is of course more tactical and calculated, so I think he's trying to rebuild the Empire, but without the spiritual Force side of things, putting him in stark contrast to the Palpatine fanatics. This would definitely make for an interesting conflict, and I think they're really hinting towards it with the Imperial research and cloning base on Navarro. Finally, I do think that we might start getting some more hints about what is happening with Boba Fett. For the first 2 episodes of the season, it was made very clear that Din Djarin does keep Boba's armor, which means it's probably still on the Razor Crest right now. We recently heard big rumors that the interior of Boba Fett's ship, Slave 1, was spotted under construction on the set of The Mandalorian Season 2 back when it was filming, which, if true, would mean we're likely going to see a huge space dogfight between the two. Honestly, it would be awesome to see Slave 1 make a comeback, so I hope the rumors are true. I'm really hoping that Boba has more than just a small cameo in the show, and has his story arc for The Mandalorian expanded. We do know that he's getting his own standalone show, set as a prequel to The Mandalorian, meaning his appearance could simply be a backdoor pilot for that, but I think that would be a bit disappointing. I don't think there's any way that Boba just allows Mando to steal his prized armor, so maybe we get a traditional Western style standoff to win the armor back in the next episode, or maybe even the season finale. I'm also going to go ahead and say that we see the return of a man everyone has loved since episode 1 of this season, Cobb Vanth. The way episode 1 ended really did hint at Cobb Vanth eventually teaming back up with Mando, similar to the end of last season, and maybe even becoming a real Mandalorian at some point once things get back on track with the Darksaber and Bo-Katan reclaiming her spot as the leader. But either way, let me know down below what you think will happen in this next episode. I'm really looking forward to it since it's the first episode of season 2 that we have absolutely no clue about. With the first 4 episodes we had the footage from the trailer, and episode 5 we knew would feature Ahsoka because of Dave Filoni. But from here on out we're going in blind. So those are my plot predictions for The Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 6 Chapter 14. Thanks so much guys for watching. Remember to subscribe to be notified as soon as I drop my breakdown for episode 6. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.